It must be really great to have your own practice bag, day, overnighter, weekend and expedition bag, all equipped up, ready to go at a moment's notice. However, this means that you've got an awful lot of money tied up in your kit, and there's a whole load of disadvantages as well. Many of the items are duplicated unnecessarily. Some items like food goes out of date because you're not constantly checking on it. Some of the items deteriorate because they're not being used, while your skills deteriorate because you're not using certain items of equipment. You're using the easy ones, not ones that take a little bit of skill. The answer to these problems is to modularize your kit, know where it's kept, and transfer it easily from one location to the bag you need very quickly. One aid to doing this is to keep a section of lists, not only of what you want in each bag, but also where it's kept. It might sound silly, but you do forget where you've got items stored if you're not using all the kit all the time. Another little tip is to take your rubbish home with you, and then you know what you've got to replace. One of the first and easiest items to use is a Ziploc plastic bag. They come in various sizes, you can use them, and when they start to tear you can throw them away. They're inexpensive, but they are fairly tough and will last a long while. The next thing to do is to buy or use a roll top waterproof bag. They keep your things waterproof, and you can also use them as a water container. You can also use them as a standard package. This one is from my day sack, and it has all the ancillary things like binoculars. It's easy enough to take it out and replace it in another bag. Food preparation and cooking can be a messy business, but you can make your life easier by using a bread bag. You can use a plastic bag from sliced bread. It keeps one mess tin apart from the other. If you know you're going to be taking the items in and out fairly often, pack them inside the plastic bag. It keeps them secure, and if necessary, you've got your pan ready in seconds. If you want to use round pans for cooking, you can use an old disc container, either to keep items in or to use as a mixing or washing bowl. Again, it costs nothing and weighs very little. Sometimes it's very easy. You can get a custom made bag like this one for the mess tins, or you can improvise. This cost £1. I was going to throw it out. I don't have a cover for my 2-quart water bottle. Now I do. Using the wrong container is pretty good. This was from a towel, but it makes an excellent stove container. I have everything I need, including a pricker for the jet. This is a rather old stove. Maybe it's not the most efficient, but the jet is big enough to be cleared out with a pricker from a primer stove. It all fits together in the towel bag, making it easy to move from storage to the bag I need it in. Certain items it's always good to have in the proper container, like this little first aid kit. It's got extras added, so it's pretty comprehensive, and I can transfer it easily from one bag to the other. Keeping your clothing dry is a priority. One way of doing it is to use a sleeping bag compression sack, especially if it's made of waterproof material. It won't make it totally waterproof, but what it will do is reduce the bulk and make it damp proof, especially if it's inside a dry bag. You know where your kit is, it's in a specific bag, it's easy to find in the dark. One little thing you can do is to keep your socks readily available. You need to keep them dry. You also need to keep your wet ones away from all the other dry kit. If you can find two similar sized plastic bottles where one fits inside the other, you can compress them, and if necessary, tape round the raw edge to make them totally waterproof. However, you must be aware there will be condensation, so you need to check it now and again and clean it out. Be aware that it doesn't work if the bottles are both the same size. Here I've used two soda water bottles, but from different supermarkets. They're more or less the same size, but the difference allows them to be put together without kinking. If you use two of exactly the same size, they will kink and not be so effective, but they'll still work a bit. Sometimes, however, the proper container is the best one. For example, these peak stove cooking pots, which allow you to keep the stove and the windbreak and a pan lifter. Because of its size and square shape, it's easy to transfer it from storage to the small pack to the large one as required. If you've got some new gear like these garden pegs and you want to use them in the field, test them out first. Will they do the job, or will they be found wanting? Luckily, these are on special offer and very cheap. Rather have them break now than when it's important. One final thing. Always remember to leave some spare space in your rucksack for when you repack your gear. So, get sorted, get out, get training. You know it makes sense, it'll serve you well.